my name is Cadet Ron Sokovac, and today I'll be giving you some top tips on how to iron a light blue shirt. For purposes of reference, this is a male light blue shirt. So imagine that you've just got it out of the wash, it's heavily creased and you need to iron it from top to bottom. The way I do it and the way I do it is probably the most logical way. You always start from the collar of the shirt and you always start ironing the inside of the collar first. The reason why you iron the inside of the collar first is that if you have any marks on your iron or anything like that and you iron the inside first, when you flip your collar over, nobody's going to see that, okay? That's why I always iron the inside collar of the inside collar first. So iron it, use plenty of steam. This part of the shirt is where you can go mad with steam and mad with heat because, again, if you flip it over, nobody's going to see anything if any marks get transferred on the inside, okay? That's the first bit you want to iron. In addition to that, after that, you then want to start working on the panels of the shirt. So I say that there are 5 panels of the shirt. You've got this front panel here, which is the front half. You then have the back half, which is the whole back part. You then have the other panel, which has the buttons, okay? So that's the third panel. You have one sleeve, which is another panel, and then you have the other sleeve, which is the other panel. So that's 5 panels all in total. We're going to start ironing the panels without the buttons first, okay? So what you do is you insert the shirt into the curved part of your iron, okay? Just rotate that a little bit. So you insert the shirt into the curved part of the iron, and that gives you a flat area to work on. You then go around with the iron very carefully, ensuring that you get all the little bits. When you get to the pocket area, you want to ensure that you lift the pocket up, undo the button, iron either side of the button, and then you want to lift the shirt off of the ironing board and you want to completely iron that pocket flap there. So you put that on the edge of your ironing board. Again, you always iron the inside first, okay? And iron the inside of that pocket first. Try not to put an additional crease, okay? And that works the same way with an epaulette. With an epaulette, you always iron the inside of the epaulette first. And you work your way to the top of that stitching where the epaulette meets the shirt. Okay, add a bit of steam, you then flip it over, and then you iron the outside, which is the bit that everyone sees. So you iron that panel first, okay, then you work onto the back of the shirt. The back of the shirt is very easy, you just literally run the iron all over the back of the shirt. Also remember that the stitching, the seam, where the front panel meets the back panel, that seam there, you need to iron over that as well. Because as you can see, it can get a bit creased and a bit, not really uniform looking, okay? So iron over that as well. It's the same story for the panel with the buttons on it. Careful not to rip the buttons off with your iron because I've done that once already. So be very careful when you get to that area. And iron again the pocket as well. Undo the pocket, unbutton it, iron the flap of the pocket, and then button that back up, okay? You want to, again, make sure that once you've ironed the shirt completely, you go back to the collar and you want to iron the collar flipped. So flip the collar over and iron it with the collar down. The reason why you want to do that is to make sure that when you have the shirt on, the collar completely stays down, the edges don't curl up when you're wearing your shirt or anything like that. And again, when you button up your shirt, when you leave it to hang up, you always leave it hung up, buttoned up, okay? The most important button to do is the top button because when you wear your shirt, you do the top button up. If you were to iron a dark blue shirt, you would never iron it and then do the top button up because when you wear a dark blue shirt, you always undo the top button. For a light blue shirt, you always wear it buttoned up, so you always do up the button once you finish ironing it and leave it on your hanger like that. We'll now move on to the creases of the sleeves. This is the bit that people always struggle with, okay? You'll notice on the cuff of the sleeve, you have 2 pleats. I believe this is the same for the female shirts as well. You need to ensure that the crease enters and starts from one of the pleats. I strongly suggest you pick the pleat that is closest to the edge of the shirt, of the edge where that slit is, okay? So my crease starts from this one and works all the way to the top. You can choose this one as well. There's no real definition of it, but I would strongly suggest you pick a pleat and you work your crease all the way up. In order to iron the crease onto the shirt, you also need to make sure that the crease starts and it ends in the middle of the epaulette. So that's the epaulette there, okay? You need to make sure that the crease ends up in the middle of the epaulette, not on the side. I believe when you get your shirt fresh from the packet, the crease will start on the side of the epaulette. You need to re-iron it, and the best way to do that is just wash the shirt, okay? And then when it's wet and damp, you iron a new crease into it. So lay your shirt flat down on your ironing board, and you want to adjust it to make sure that the crease sits completely and utterly flat on the ironing board. When you look at it, if it's not flat, the crease will curl up a little bit and it will stick up. If it's not flat the other way, it will curl down a little bit. You need to try and find the balance and make sure that it lies completely and utterly flat on the ironing board. You start in the middle and very gently start working that crease with your iron into the shirt. Don't iron the entire sleeve first, iron half of it, pick it up, look at it to make sure that there's no creases on the other side, check both of them, and as you can see, that's a very sharp crease there. You then work your way to the bottom where the cuff is, and careful not to create any tram lines as well, and carefully iron to the bottom of the cuff. Flip the shirt over, and you now want to start working on the inside. Here you can clearly see the pleat there, and that is the perfect position to then go in with the tip of your iron and start working that in. Okay. Likewise, if you've just done that bit, you want to do the same on the other edge of the crease. So work your way up to the top and just meet the top of the epaulette. Do not put a crease in the epaulette. You don't need to put a crease down the center of there. Just iron that straight down, and as you can see, that is a very, very sharp crease on one of the sleeves of the shirt. You do the exact same thing if you have a female shirt, except on the back of the female shirts, you want to do what's called a box pleat, okay? You're not doing one single crease as you would do on the sleeve, you're doing two. Because there's a pleat on there, you want to essentially, imagine we're doing it on this, you want to get a crease like that, like this second one here, okay? So there's one crease that sticks up and there's another one that goes into the shirt. Not like this, where it's one, you want two on there, okay? Like that one there. Imagine that runs all the way up, that's what you want to try and get on the back of the shirt, okay? It's the same exact story for the front of the shirt on female shirts. You have a pleat that starts roughly around here, around the top of the shirt. It doesn't have pockets, of course, and you want to make sure that box pleat runs to the second buttonhole. We don't include the top button, okay? So 1, 2, and the crease should line up with the second buttonhole on a female shirt. If you're to include the top button, it's obviously 3 buttons, so 1, 2, and 3. If you're to count from the first button down, it's 1 and 2, and it ends. That crease should end at the bottom of that, in line with the buttonhole, okay? That's pretty much it. Ensure that your temperature is correct with the iron. Again, different irons will act differently, and it's very important to make sure that your iron is not too hot because it's very easy to burn these kind of shirts. For a dark blue shirt, it's very similar. The only difference is that you iron the collar flat, like that, open and flat, because that's how you wear a dark blue shirt. You do the exact same creases on the sleeves on both arms, okay? So just make sure that you're very careful, you take your time, and you are very patient when it comes to ironing your light blue shirt, because this is the shirt that you'd wear on competitions, on uniform inspections, on a lot of cadet activities. Take your time, be patient, do not rush this, because the last thing you want to do is burn it. It's better that you take your time and get it right rather than rushing it and getting something wrong. In addition, you can use some Dylon spray starch. I don't really need to use it because washing it is enough, but essentially what this does, it acts the same way as a bar of soap for your trousers, in that once you iron it, it enters the material of the shirt and it makes it go really stiff and really hard. Okay, it's perfect to use on brassards. It works absolutely amazing. I'll do a separate video for that on how to iron your brassards, but you can put it like on your creases or on the rest of the shirt to make it really stiff. But honestly, if you just wash it with a bit of washing powder, that should be enough. If you have any questions, contact your NCOs via your section ICs, and hopefully you score some very good marks on your uniform inspection. Good luck.